Hello and welcome to the 11th part of Old Man Plays Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition Blind Playthrough. In the last episode we went into one of the big corporation in Hong Kong, namely Wuxing in the part of Aberdeen, and we infiltrated a big skyscraper, corporate skyscraper, where our quest was to disrupt the flow of key inside the city. We were successful, so let's continue what awaits on us, coming back to Heoi again. Heoi. Wuxing won't know what hit them. The embarrassment of their own geomantic science turned against them will sit unfavorably on the tongues of Wuxing executives and maybe even get a few people terminated. They'll know it wasn't just the building you bettered. You sent a message. Everyone has a weakness that can be exploited. The change in Feng Shui should keep them spinning for months. The complete disruption of their key and destruction of their temple will cripple the energy at this branch of the company. And with the Wuxing focusing on restoring their temple, it will be a long time before they discover the full extent of your assault. Continue. Eight more karma gained. Objective added. Get to the Repulse Base Hotel to help Dr. Shenyang blackmail Neville Ma. And meet Kylie Cheng's friend. Complete again. Okay, this is everything else which I have before. Claim payment for your runs at the mission computer. Your comlink chirps. It's Kindly Cheng. Memo here. Come to the Mahjong Parlor Advanced Memo. I have something I want to show you. Your crew is already here. What's my crew doing there? Waiting for you. Her voice get testy, like I am now. So hang up the comm and get over here. See what Kyle Cheng wants. And we also need to visit the mission computer, but let's... Let's run around a little bit here before going further, or go right away to Cheng. Let's check the ship first. Okay, I can't get on the ship yet, so let's talk to Kindly Cheng first. What are you, slow? I got nothing else for you until you get the dirt on Ma. Dr. Shenyang makes a shooing gesture with his hands. You got a job. Now go do it. Okay, let's talk to her. Objective complete. Go see what Kindly Cheng wants. As you walk through the Mahjong Parlor, you see your crew waiting for you. Clearly uncomfortable to be so close to the Triad boss. Then you see why. Kindly Cheng's cheeks are flushed and glowing. She's already hit the bottle pretty hard. Ah, Mamu, you're here. Excellent. Yes, Mamu, it is good to see you. They both have expressions that they rather be anywhere else. Nice to see you all. Should we grab a table for some mash? Shut up, Mamu. I have important news. Kyle Cheng takes out the PDA and gently places it on the table in front of her. The wiretap we placed on the police force has borne fruit. Her mouth breaks into a wolfish grin, her eyes take on a feral gleam. She appears fueled by alcohol and vengeance, a hungry beast on the hunt. My people have delivered a snippet of a recorded video call between the plastic-faced man and a Chief Inspector Crate of the Special Duties Unit. Wow! This should be good. Should we take a seat? Unfortunately, it's only a snippet. There were some technical difficulties with the tap. She glances at Bao, who nods back at her. The person responsible who has been sacked. Cheng reaches out a lacquered fingernail, hunts for the button she's looking for, and stabs it in victory. There is a loud crackling noise at the beginning of the recording, followed by a squelching squeal that makes Gobet cover her ears in pain. When the video recording begins, the man's voice sounds far away, as if he's talking through a thick pane of glass. The woman's is louder, closer. Say that again? There's something wrong with his line. I said my client isn't interested in hearing more excuses, Inspector. That's what I thought you said. I'm not making excuses, mister. I have a department to run. Not for much longer. If those two Westerners aren't found, they're linked to this Raymond Black somehow, and my clients want them out of circulation immediately. The two runners are his accomplices too, the little orc and the dwarf with the cyberdeck. Gobet looks at Isabel wide-eyed and swallows hard. Isabel winks back reassuringly. I'm aware, Inspector. Thank you. We don't know how much any of them know, and my client is adamant that the risk is mitigated immediately. I already made this the SDU's highest priority. If Josephine wants more resources on it, I'm going to need allocations from elsewhere in the department. That is a problem that can be easily dealt with. My client wants this over. Now, no more excuses, no more fuck-ups, no more cops floating in the river. Kindly Cheng smiles at that and pours herself a shot. Tell her we're redoubling our efforts. Very good. Dead or alive, you bring them to me. My client requires more personal verification that the threat has been eliminated. Hang on, this line is getting worse. There's a sharp crackle and the recording ends. Kindly Cheng picks up her PDA and puts it away with a smile. She unscrews the cap on her bottle and pours herself a shot with a flourish. That's the guy we saw in the surveillance footage, the one who killed Raymond Black. She leans into the PDA. That plastic face looks a lot cooler close up. I think it's kind of pretty. That video doesn't tell us much. I mean, we already know that there's an APB on us. All we are sure of now is that the man with the plastic face is definitely working for someone else. This Josephine. Is that all we have, Auntie? First name? It's not just the first name, Gobets, dear. It's the first name. Josephine Thank. She's the one pulling the strings. Kindly downs her foot and kindly downs her shot and slams the glass upside down on her table. This is a riddled dog fucker. I should have known it was her from the beginning. She drums her fingers on the table in front of her, and she had nerve to call them down. The hit on my runners on Niger. Oh, that's Cabro's fossil is going to pay. This woman has enough power to order the HKPF to hunt us down. Cheng makes a wet hacking noise in the back of her throat and spits on the floor. She is the CEO of Thang Mechanical Services and a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council. Her face turns to a mask of disgust. Josephine dogfucking Thang. CEO? Oh, what do you know about her? She is a Hong Kong Philanthropist of the Year in 2054 and 2055. Children's hospitals, homeless shelters, food distribution centers. Good causes, and the kind that get good PR because people are too lazy and myopic to look for the real people doing the hard work. The face-to-face with the poor work. Don't be so cynical, Isabel. Auntie Cheng smiles at her sweetly. Coming face-to-face with the unsanitized for video, poor is distasteful, dear. You know that. Her face gets stony. Beyond being a CEO and a philanthropist, I also know that Josephine Thang is a lying, conniving bitch. Sounds like you two have a history together. Whatever gave you that impression, my sweet? Her wolfish smile returns. Yes, my darling, I don't like Josephine Thang, and I'm going to fuck her up. I'm going to fuck her up bad. Oh, this should be good. It will be delicious, and I may explain why someday, but not today. She picks up her bottle of swill. Its turpentine fumes drift your way. But when I finally get her, you'll be there, my darling. I'll make it a party. What is Thang Mechanical Services? Josephine's baby, and was a B-rated corporation before she married into the Thang family. But after she fought for and won the contract to rebuild Kowloon Walled City, their fortunes rose high. They began a rise to power that eventually landed Josephine on the Executive Council. Walled City? The Walled City? Yes, the same place Raymond Black hired my runners to take him. I've already connected the dots. I don't know what it means, but it clearly means something. What do you think the connection is between Josephine Thang and this plastic-faced man? I don't know yet, but I will. He called her his client. That's maybe some sort of lead we can follow. Cheng nods at Wu. Her glance fingers at his biceps a moment before continuing. Right now, all we know is that he is her instrument, the one who killed Raymond Black. Raymond's not dead. Yes, you may have mentioned that before, Gun Show. She smiles at him reprovingly. Regardless, the plastic-faced man is still our best lead for figuring out what's going on. Remind me who this Executive Council is again? May I, Auntie? Isabel breaks in, giving kindly Cheng a chance to calm down a bit. Hong Kong is run by a consortium of powerful corporations called the Board of Governors, who set up the Executive Council, an 8-member committee of exemplary Hong Kong citizens to represent the people and run the city on their behalf. But of course you don't vote for them. That would be too unpredictable. Instead, every 2 years, the two executive council slots come up for election, and the corporations on the board of governors put up some possible candidates and vote among themselves in a closed-door session. Closed door? I'm shocked. Of course, every single one of these candidates is on some corporation's payroll somehow. Wham bam, instant government. Let's cut to the chase. What's our next step? There's nothing we can do to touch Josephine Thank, as much as I hate to admit it, but the plastic-faced man is a different story. He's third-party operative who's been careless, and he'll live to regret it. Her little black eyes turn stony. For a while. If Thank thinks she can take out 2 of my runners and get away with it, I'm going to have to explain things to her. She pulls out a thin black cigar and runs it beneath her nose. We're going to find the plastic-faced man, and we are going to hurt him. We'll hurt him until we know everything he does, and then we will use that to strike back at Josephine Thank. She lights her cigar and takes a deep, deep pull. You will have your vengeance, and I will have my own satisfaction. She turns away and picks up a bottle. Now, get out. I have work to do. Okay, my party is gone, so we have some new things on our table. We still have all this runs up. Let's try to talk with Cheng one more time. No time for runners now. I have other business to attend to. Okay, let's go outside and maybe go to Karakan. Let's go to mission computer first. Or let's go sleep. Objective complete, get some rest. A stabbing pain in your stomach jolts you awake. Your entire abdomen is cramping up. You roll in your cot, willing the shooting pains that radiate from your stomach to go away. Your mouth is bone dry and your tongue is swollen. It feels thick and inarticulate, like a useless slab of meat. A quick glance at your PDA tells you that it's 4 AM outside of your cabin. The rest of Heoi sleeps. All that you remember of the dream that you awoke from is a horrible, unfulfilled yearning and a need to get where you were going first. Others were behind you. You could feel the heat of their breath on your neck. If you were to beat them to your destination, you could slam the door in their face, keep them out and away from what was yours. But if they ever took you, you would feel that terrible longing forever. As you grasp at your last fleeting memories of the dream, a wave of exhaustion washes over you. It feels like you're being dragged. You collapse back into your cot and into a black, dreamless sleep. When you open your eyes again, the sun filters in under your door. It's morning. Now for the mission computer. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones on the workstation's menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies that you have 1 unread messages. Check your inbox for new messages. You have 1 unread messages. Auntie Cheng and Josephine. From Gobet to Mamu. Subject, Auntie Cheng and Josephine. Hey Mamu, I think I can add a little context to that thing between Auntie and Josephine Thank. You know, the thing that makes Auntie hit the sauce and take revenge. It's a combo of stuff I heard and stuff I put together myself, so your mileage may vary. For years, the Yellow Lotus acted as tax collectors within the Walled City. Since the Walled City was built by Josephine Thank and the Yellow Lotus was run by Auntie Cheng, they must have had a working business relationship, for a while at least. From what Niger told me, he was her favorite, you got that right? Auntie was known as a real up-and-corner back then. She was on the fast track to be the next Yellow Lotus 438. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, gig memo. Money and pop galore. Now, you need to know that there are a lot of triads and corps doing business in the Walled City. All sort of stuff. Sometimes they work together nicely, and sometimes people get bloody. The way that I heard it, Auntie came up with some sort of grand plan to consolidate business and the Walled City. The power would be split between the Yellow Lotus and Thanks Company, and everyone else would get cut out. If her plan worked, Auntie would rise in the Lotus like nobody's business, and Josephine Thank would make a long bank. There was a catch though. In order for the plan to work, both women would need to jump through a lot of hoops. There'd be street-level maneuvering and power plays on Auntie's side, and blackmail and negotiations on the corporate level from Josephine Thank. My info gets sketchy here. From what I've pieced together, Thank went behind Auntie's back and took her plan to her boss, 438 named Wong Lun Fat. They cut kindly out of her own plans. Why Thanks do that? My guess is that she saw Auntie as some sort of threat. People in the know say that Wong Lun Fat is weak and greedy. She can be manipulated in her palm if her palm remains well greased. Long story short, power was consolidated in Walled City, just like Auntie planned, only she didn't end up getting any of it. Her climb up the Lotus ladder came to an abrupt halt. She is still a straw sandal, just like she was before. Thanks backstabbed her, and now she's stuck in Heoi like a fly in an ember. I'd be pissed too, if it were me. Go bet. You have 0 unread messages. Go back. Okay, open the jobs directory. Main. Claim the payment for the Wuxing sabotage run. You submit the job as finished and await the response. A few moments later, a message pops onto the screen. We've got 2,200 new yen. From kindly Cheng to Mamu. A little bird whispered me in my ear that Wuxing's fortunes are already failing. Their stock value dropped by 2% already. The client finds this to be an acceptable indication of your success, and has forwarded payment. I've attached your cut to this email. Kindly check. Okay, go back. Access the Shadowrun BBS. Shadowrun connection established successfully. Link strength 100%, spoofing 1. Group info null and none. Welcome to Shadowland. Claim payment for sold pay data. Pending transaction. Claim payment for the museum shipping manifest. 432 new yen. Data sold successfully. Winning bid 480 new yen. Escrow fee 10%. Funds sent to Memu's account 432 new yens. Pending transactions. Go back. Post pay data for sale. Attach data to escrow account. Data will be automatically sold to the highest bidder. Both parties will remain anonymous throughout transaction. Post the Wuxing logistical data. Posting successful. Posting will remain active for 2 days. Okay, search BBS for relevant keywords. Threat. Looking for Decker. Looking for experienced Decker for a discreet milk run on a low-level corporate lab. Potential for a longer-term arrangement. We're a team that's been together for years, running your basic heists and occasional transport gig. We've got a reliable fixer and a long list of happy clients. Requirements. You must not take experimental stims during runs. You must have a good sense of humor. Give me some UN 888. Weren't you just looking for a Decker a little while back? I saw your ad, but I was wrapping up a one-time run with an old partner who's moved away and be interested in a meeting. Isn't Muffin Top Ninja your fifth ad? Runs with Scissors 2056. Did someone call my name? Muffin Top Ninja. Hey, MTN, long time no beer. We gotta catch up, Sensei. Bring me on as your Decker. I guess the kid who answered your last ad didn't work out. Runs with Scissors 2056. Oh, that's an understatement. I think we can count on you to not consume any drugs during runs. More specifically, drugs that were part of the payload. Fatal experimental drugs that were part of the payload. Muffin Top Ninja. Ouch. Runs with Scissors 2056. That's not even a rookie error, it's just lack of common sense. A real shame that. Anyway, I'm glad you're on board. Runs. We are not going to have a problem with you, Muffin Top Ninja. No more posts in this thread. Want to trade eyes? We'll take anything. I acquired a huge supply of cutting-edge cybernetic eyes. My fans did a runner, so I got eyes up to my eyeballs. As it were, make me an offer. Shankmeister 007. They've got the whole 9 yards, 2010 vision camera, low light and thermographic modes. One size fits all, sold in pairs only. Boxed set. Shankmeister 007. Colors brown, blue, violet, hazel, green, green flagged with gold, chrome. And you got to install them yourself. Shankmeister 007. Trade you Ranger Arms SM3, comes with a magic briefcase, squinty face. Deal, message me, Shankmeister 007. Can I swap you my old cyber eyes for a new set? Yxtalionix. Seriously, anything but that, Shankmeister 007. Can I buy one blue and one brown eye? Hunky Dory 71. No, but you can buy two pairs. Sheesh, Shankmeister 007. No more posts and the thread. Uncle Ste's House of Pork. If anybody ever has the hankering to go to Uncle Ste's House of Pork in Thai, oh, I can only say one thing. For the love of all that's holy, don't. I haven't been able to leave my house in 2 days. The only reason I can even post here is because of the RAS override my deck. Billy. What did you eat? Maybe you were just unlucky. Sir Yum Yum Cha. All I had were some shumai and ribs. That's pretty basic and hard to mess up. Unlucky is when I get a bad orange in the market. This isn't unlucky. This is something else. This is some kind of wild gastrointestinal sorcery. Billy. Oh my god, I only ate at there once. I still have nightmares. It felt like I eaten a wasp nest. If the wasps were made of rusty razors. And also on fire. Maofu. I thought I was being clever by getting the pulled pork sandwich when I ate there. Nope. Aside from basic being a pile of congealed sludge and the bread being moldy, it was a week before I could hold down anything more solid than a congealed eggs. What are you all, a bunch of children? Yeah, the kitchen is dirty, but I've eaten there dozens of times, and not once I have gotten sick. Grow up and learn to eat adult food. Rat Star 123. Wait a second, aren't you the person who was raving about that food cart on the corner of Kimberley and Observatory? You told me to get the yuzu glazed horse tripe? Mofu? Yeah, how do you like it? Pretty good, huh? Rat Star 123. If by good you mean the consistency of tar and all tars, yes, the tribe must have been a week or more old, and I'm pretty sure I smelled rot once the initial citrus blast wore off. Take note, this user's advice on food is not to be trusted. Mofu. Oh god, reading that actually got me to push past the RAS override. No, my deck is covered in vomit. Thanks guys, I mean it. Nothing I love more than being sick and disgusting. Delay. No more pause in this thread. Walled City, embezzlement history. I'm uploading another Walled City report. This one old from just after they built it. I ended up digging into the history of the place. It's just archival plain text. Isabel. Consolidated Press Hong Kong desk. Thank Mechanical Services. Thank was again accused in a joint lawsuit headed by Wuxing Incorporation of embezzling hundreds of millions of yuan during the construction of the Walled City low-income housing project. The plaintiffs filed an official complaint on Monday, stating that construction contractors had been heavily pressured by Thank to use cheap construction techniques, while kickbacks, graft, and misrouting of funds cost several hundred million yuan to vanish. Thank's legal team strenuously objected to the accusations, citing a lack of proof and the corporation's own damaged fortunes. Legal team spokesman Li Kui-shan had this to say: the Walled City contract was a disaster for my client. The project was sabotaged at every turn by union activists and competing corporations. TMS struggled heroically to complete the project despite this interference. These parties have now added insult to injury by fabricating charges or malfeasance based on the very obstacles which they themselves created. This has truly become theatre of the absurd. Is it true? According to Consolidated Press financial analyst Gertrude Chen, it seems unlikely. Thank has struggled financially since the Walled City project. Thank stock, ticker symbol TMQ, Hong Kong and Tokyo exchanges is trading at around 40% of its peak, which is reached just after receiving the Walled City contract 4 years ago. Although investigators have indicated there is evidence of possible misconduct, no misappropriated funds have been found, and CEO Josephine Thank recently sold her Victoria Peak estate, citing financial difficulties. If TMS or that Thank's family have benefited from stolen Walled City funds, they are not showing it. Mrs. Thank could not be reached for a comment. Huh, I always thought that Thanks rocketed the success on the back of the Walled City. They should trump that and their PR. Dong-jang. Yep, it's a brilliant piece of historical revisionism. The Walled City was a huge loss of face at the time, but somehow they rebranded the whole fiasco over the last couple of decades. Maybe their underbidding made them seem like a real sucker and brought in the contracts. Amonita. Isabel, I find the fact that you post a financial article to be charming. White Prism. White Prism, did you just hit on Izo? Amonita's gonna skin you, Freedom Cowboy. No, that's just WP. He's incapable of flirting. Would you date a woman named Amonita and then try to charm someone else on the BBS? WP is just an aggro with a poor social filter. Amonita. You two must have an interesting relationship, Freedom Cowboy. Let's just say we radically complement each other. Amonita. No more post in this thread. Go back. Go back. Okay, walk away. No new quests, as far as I understand. Oh, before continuing, I should upgrade my karma. Let's put 1 point here. And 1 point here. Okay. Pretty big deal. Let's go to Hatch. As always, first will be Mr. Gaichu. The cabin is silent, aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaichu steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Hello, Mamu. A single bed of sweat rolls down Gaichu's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting the form again. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I have been letting them slip of late. You worried you're getting rusty? No, it's not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhancement strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaichu lifts his sword, offering its edge towards you. Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest smiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? When I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Only, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of a claw along the blade's surface, Gaichu smiled thinly. I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that it no longer has, and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what is it that you would like to discuss? Any thoughts about that last run? I am not certain what insight I could grant you. I was not present for that mission, so my understanding of it is purely second-hand. Is there anything else I can do for you? Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind? It is not the easiest thing I have attempted, but neither is the hardest. Placing his sword off to one side, Gaichu turns to face you. Emptiness is form, as one of the great lessons of the Hagakure. Train sufficiently and both foremanship and obedience will come instinctively. That is the closest to the perfection a man can attain. Does that mean that in a perfect world you would have killed yourself when you got infected? If an order should be unjust or foolish, it should not be followed. To waste a skilled warrior as they would have by killing me it is unacceptable. Obedience without a thought is to be cultivated, but so is the moral fortitude to know when to disagree. When I was new to the unit, I thought that to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal. That to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish ones, I suppose. So, what's changed your mind? Beyond my disease, there was a fight in Fukuoka. My former team ambushed me and had a singular effect on my worldview. We were told that we were superior to everyone, that since we were pure humans and the Japanese, we would always win. I believe that most never question the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary. Tell me about when your old unit ambushed you. Very well. Gaichu draws his nails over his scalp, sighing. My time in Fukuoka was tense since leaving Keihanshin. I had been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or on a bag of automated delivery ones. I was running out of food, however, and needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka is just big enough to get lost in, but not so large that the girl sighting could go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and stormed drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me. However, I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all of my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel the team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor, and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Gaichu closes his eyes, resting his face in one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident, but I let caution slip when I got this email. I thought that if I disguised myself, I could take the train there, get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me, magical tracking perhaps, or simply a well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me. They were waiting for me at Hakata station. It was an ambush. That's a very public place for an ambush. It is. I suspect their order were clear. However, do whatever it takes to kill me. Civilians are expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best as I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack while I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable the civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. I assumed the train had derailed honestly, but then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of explosive. Gaichu winkles his nose at the memory. Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosives that we used has a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese, something to do with an olfactory gland added to help track if it is stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris, trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasaki charged out of an access corridor just ahead of where I had been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off a retreat while Aomori started firing. That's a nasty situation to be caught in. One of the worst. Confined space, facing a mage and heavy gunner. Those are losing odds, even if the attackers are ordinary mercenaries. I did the only thing I could think of. I charged Aomori and Sasaki. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had was that they were as blinded by the dust as I was. But I could still hear and smell them. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aomori's light machine gun was swirling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down at the barrel. I caught Aomori on the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I'd practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I could hear him choking for breath as he dropped. Gaichu exhales a humorless laugh and shakes his head. It is strange to think how clear the memory is, even now. When the adrenaline is pumping, you form memories with more clarity. Certainly, that is true, but I remember that strike so clearly for an entirely different reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. What did it mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world? Red Samurai Doctrine taught Aomori and the others not to fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized that I had progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to ideological blindness. You think becoming a girl made you a better warrior? Can you deny it? I could fight as well as when I was a man, but with eyes that had been opened to the hypocrisy of what the Renraku had taught us. They taught us the lessons that made us useful tools. They do not want independent soldiers, but obedient ones. Sasaki was the next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me strike him. Her eyes were wide, and I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Gaichu taps himself on the forehead just above his right eye. It was there, on Sasaki, a downward stroke from Jordan's stance. She had hesitated, just as Aomori had. It felt the breath go out of her like someone had deflated a tire. She just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how, when I ran. What about Ishida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away, and I did not see Ishida. I only smelled him, so I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hakata Station, I knew I could escape. They did not follow me out into the city proper. From what I heard via the metrics, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers. Gaichu snorts, lip curling downward. Brave, foolish soldiers. If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? Gaichu does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers. I'm unsure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you are driving at? If you train with your unit so extensively, won't it be impossible to replace the one you killed? Ah, I see. I think your mistake is in seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Folding his arms over his chest, Gaichu continues to explain. The nature of Red Samurai assignment is such that losses are generally 0 on the entire team. In those rare cases when Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Sasaki and the Omori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, missing a Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Renraku knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad, as it has been tamed. So, until they kill you, nobody wants to join their club? Gaichu nods his assent. Yes, that is the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of the unit unless I die, both because of their own expectations and the stain on their honor. Even if we accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They have hunted me in Japan, Shanghai and Beijing, and now I'm certainly they hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way of things. Wouldn't it be easier if you face them down rather than run? How do you mean? I have faced them several times in the past, in Fukuoka and in Shanghai. Unless you have a deeper meaning I am unaware of. I have already done as you suggest. One way or another, this will end with either you or them dead. You got to take action. What do you believe I have been doing? Gaichu's face twists in annoyance. Certainly, I have not been allowing them to attack me out of goodwill. You define yourself by your opposition to your old life. What? Blinking a few times, Gaichu leans closer to you. I am unsure that I clearly understand your meaning. Can you explain yourself more clearly? Think about it. You get to live as the Ronin Red Samurai, unfairly cast out by his unit. Ah, and you believe that absent that position, I would have little to define myself? That is very cheap philosophy, Memu, and unworthy of you. What have you accomplished other than simply surviving? Drawing himself up and puffing on his chest, Gaichu glares at you. You tell me, What do you see? I am the creature that stands in front of you. What is it that I'm... What it is that I am, in your opinion? A Shadowrunner, just like the rest of us. I suppose that is a face of who I am. Yes, I sell my services for money, and they are of a particularly niche nature. Why then do you insist that I am trapped in the past? In this business, you're either cut off an enemy's ability to hurt you, or you get killed. I can understand that line of reasoning, yes, but by the same token, if an enemy is an overwhelming threat, you are always certain to retreat. Some fights cannot, should not, be fought in the open. I seek to perfect myself, my skills, and my abilities in combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean I am tied inextricably to my unit, it simply means that I am shaped by my history, as are we all. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I'm doing alright. I must learn to adapt to my new condition and lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. What does perfecting yourself mean to you anyway? I do not know. I am certain that sounds like an evasion, but it is not. There is no roadmap for being a girl who is also a final scholar. I only know that my instincts are stronger than they were when I was an ordinary man. Because of this, I must learn to make my own way in this world. There is no older teachings for me to reach for. Gaichu suddenly cocks his head. Is this why you are concerned about my history with the Red Samurai? I just want to make sure nobody comes gunning for us while our attention is elsewhere. A fair concern, I admit. I will take this under advisement. I do not wish this team to be harmed by my actions or lack the rain. I am no longer a simple man. This is a fact of my life. I am beyond that. I do not know if I am better for it, but I know that I am different for it. The fact that I am different, however, cannot be denied. I put a question to you then. If you had been changed into girl, what would you do? How would you improve yourself and learn to live with your condition? I have no idea. That's a road I can't even consider. I've never been in your position. A fair point. This is why I struggle with it. I know what I must eat, how I must live. The changes are not only physical, as I mentioned before. My mind is more instinctive now, and the reasoning is more difficult. I tend to react quickly, without thought, but that also generally will turn the tide in my favor. Gaichu squares himself, nodding several times, as if agreeing with his own internal dialogue. Warrior must learn to push their body and soul to the utmost limit. So too is it with me, but my body and soul are no longer that of a man. I must learn to use these differences as an advantage rather than a handicap. Perfection is not a destination, it is a journey. One must strive to become the purest from oneself than one can be. So, what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I am unsure. You have given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield, Lagos perhaps, or Montreal. It would have to be some place where Renraku's influence was minimal and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile staying here, hope that they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Ishida would command the team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me. But if it were a sufficiently long time, they might not be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operation doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk. And I am sure how I would draw them out in the first place. There's nothing wrong with hiding out. You need to find a way to fight them. Guy to 6, shoulders slumping a little. I'm unsure what is the wisest course of action. I'm going to think about this a great deal. Please, let me think on this. I will have an answer later. Sure thing. I'll talk to you later. Okay. That was Gaichu's dialogue. Let's see if anything else is new in box of mementos. Glancing through the box of mementos, you spot a few hitherto unseen items lying near the surface of Gaichu's mess. On knickknacks, a pair of chopsticks with stained tips and a torn-out page from a book, covered in Japanese writing. Examine the chopsticks. The chopsticks are a simple affair, black lacquer, obviously cheap and mass-produced. Whatever reason Gaichu has for keeping them, it isn't their age or quality. Taking a closer look at the chopsticks, it becomes apparent that they have seen some rough use. Lacquer near the tips is chipped and flaking away, revealing the wood beneath. The wood itself is stained a dark brown and is encrusted with something. Why did you keep these chopsticks? Gaichu burst into an unexpected laughter, almost dropping his sword as he doubles over. He manages to gasp out a sentence after a long moment. Oh my goodness, I had forgotten those were in the box. He takes a few deep breaths, composing himself. Raising his sword, Gaichu returns to his practice. Tell me, have you ever heard of Tetsuya Nakamura? Is he somebody important? He was a member of Shiva's upper management for many years, running most of Shiva's Envirotech agricultural development. A very bright star in the corporate world. He died in 2052, and those chopsticks are what I killed him with. Chopsticks, really? They were the closest thing to a weapon I had at hand. Nakamura took his security very seriously and employed several highly augmented bodyguards. It was only through several months of extensive planning that we are able to get near him at all. When faced with a challenge, one is often forced to improvise with what is at hand. We had studied Nakamura's schedule painstakingly, particularly his 12-month trips to Neo-Tokyo. In Osaka, Shiwai's presence would have made any attempt on his life functionally impossible. In Neo-Tokyo, though, in studying his movement patterns, we discovered that he would eat at particular French restaurants in Ginza every second trip, at precisely 8:30 in the evening. It seemed that he had a secret lover who lived in Roppongi, and he was visiting him during his business trips. Owing to this secrecy, he would give his bodyguards the night off when the two met. A restaurant in question was famous for its molecular gastronomy and the precision of their chefs, not to mention the view from the 38th floor. We managed to secure reservations near Nakamura's usual table, but only for two of us. It was decided that Sasaki and I would be the pair to kill Nakamura. Ishida and Aomori would wait one floor below, and Takagawa would keep watch from a nearby skyscraper. We carried small but high-powered pistols, as well as tactical knives. We expected it to be easy. Sounds like a good plan. It was, but no plan survives first contact with the enemy. As I rose to draw my pistols on Nakamura, his lover somehow knew what was happening. He shrieked bloody murder and burst into flames. We discovered after the fact that he was a very powerful mage, but he wasn't discovered this in our surveillance. Somehow he managed to throw a barrier over the two of them that deflected my bullets. When I pulled my knife, it had turned red hot. I was forced to drop it. Saki engaged him in a constant of wheels. I am not sure how that kind of magic works, but could not shatter his barrier. He was too busy dodging the lightning bolts he was throwing, and since the flames had set off the fire system, well, it was not easy. Nakamura broke and ran, and I pursued him. He had a small holdout pistol, a PB-120, or something similar, and I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find. Gaichu gestures toward you with the tip of his sword. Those chopsticks. I slid them up into his brainstem through the trachea. He died without making a sound, not that I would have been able to hear it over the sound of Aomori's machine gun rattling away one floor below. Apparently, the bodyguards were not truly doing the night off, and were still nearby. What happened to Nakamura's lover? Gage chuckles, tilting his head up towards the ceiling as he recalls the memory. Takagawa managed to punch through his barrier with a well-placed .408 caliber slug from across the street. It didn't kill him, but it broke his concentration. Sasaki finished the rest. With the windows blown out, we fast roped down the slide of the building and disappeared into the night. It was not the cleanest job, but it was very memorable. I still remember the smell, zone and bechamel mixing with the cordite, and when you click at examine the page. The page is old and the highly stylized calligraphy is handwritten. The style is so artistic, in fact, as to be functionally illegible to you. This page seemed missing a book, Gaichu. Gaichu nods in agreement and steps forward to deliver a crosscut to the air in front of him. Yes, but that page is all that I wanted from the book. I look out from the cloudless mountain at moonlight on the sea, its islands to minor ends in a sheet of heights. Gaichu pivots on the ball on his heel, thrusting the tip of his sword into the darkness of the room. The poet Saigyo, he was a master of conveying a sense of solitude and emptiness, and I have always found that poem to echo what I feel inside myself. Are you the mountains or the islands? So often it feels as if I'm contained within a ball of ice, floating through the void of this life, cold and solitary. The moments I can share with those who have truly mattered to me chip through that frost and let me scream out that I'm not alone. Leave the box alone. Okay, that was Gaicha. Let's talk to Rakter. Please, my friend, not now. We really must ready ourselves for the run on RS Asia Holdings. I cannot and will not rest until my research has been recovered, and I am afraid that you will find me a poor conversationalist until my goals have been achieved. Okay, up the stairs to Duncan. You enter to find Wu stalking the floor silently and handheld regularly near his hip, and the other flexing and unflexing again and again. When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged banter routine. What do you think about that last run? So, I guess we're vandals for hire now, renting ourselves out to tip people's tables and scroll graffiti on their walls. I don't know, FH. Feels like Bush League or Baron's Ganger crap to me. This kind of stuff that we outgrew when we were 8. Hey, it paid well. Yeah, and I can't argue with that. I mean, if people in the free enterprise zone are convinced that interior decoration is a matter of life and death, I'm not gonna argue. It's stupid, but I've taken money for all kinds of stupid things before. What do you do in your off time is no business of mine, Officer Wu. That's right, it isn't. I need my personal space. Gotta keep that work-life balance in place, FH. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? You're gonna wear a hole in the floor that way. Who keeps spacing? Need something? Yeah, a drink. Looks like you could use one too. I hear Club 88 has 2 for 1s between 4 and 6 o'clock, but you'll all have to drink them both. I don't put drugs or alcohol into my body. Anymore, you mean? You don't put crap into your body anymore? That's right. I learned it anymore. I don't need my judgment impaired like that anymore. We both know what can happen when I drink. Been thinking about Josephine Thank, what she did to her family, what she did to Carter. His pace increased a bit, and his task just forward slightly. Josephine Thank, goddamn Josephine Thank. And how I'm going to make her pay for it. We are going to make her pay for it, Duncan. We. Of course, we. What did I say? No, it's us, FH. There's no way I could figure out what's going on without you. Besides, I want you there when the old Duncan comes out to play. Oh, I smolder. Here's what we do. We walk into Tsanga headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes down, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, and ask her why she had Carter and those runners killed. Find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. kidnap a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council while there's an APB out on us? It's bold. They'll never see it coming. This is the way to go. My way. No, where I have heard that before. What? My way? That's right. There's one way this is gonna go. He catches himself. Understanding appears in his eyes. Oh crap. That's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules. No falling short of his expectations. I was hit this way, or the wrong way. Or you'd get the full-on Rainbow treatment. I didn't care to be on the receiving end of that, and I was more than once, that's for sure. You remember what happened a few years after we moved out of the squad and into his log house? The thing with the double tray and lockjaw, when he accused us of relapsing back into our old ways. Man, that was when Ray's authority finally got tested. His raspy baritone tinged with satisfaction when I finally stood up to him. Yep, the way he handled that was part of the reason I eventually left. He just wouldn't listen. I thought that might have been part of it, but to be fair, I wasn't listening either. That was our pattern, wasn't it? I wouldn't listen, he wouldn't listen, then we butted heads, rinse and repeat once every few weeks. He smiles, but it's filled with regret. But the time was the worst. His face settles into an expression of resignation. Okay, Mr. Mamoulian, we don't need to do things my way. No need for us to butt heads. He stretches. You can hear this joint crack. And on that note, I'm gonna have to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. You think this is bad? Try prison. You know what? I'd rather not. I put enough people away to know what it's like on the inside. Anyway, have a good night, FH. I'll catch you tomorrow. Let's go up the stairs. And let's talk to Gubet first. Gubet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Hey, Appel. She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness scurrying. Are you ready for your next lesson? In a bit. I wanted to ask you about something else first. Yeah? She flips a tangled rope of hair back over her shoulder. Go ahead then. If you need to ask, ask. Any thoughts about that last run? It always surprised me how much corporations will pay to screw up a competitor's feng shui. Hell, they'll even take each other to court over architecture that blocks ki. It has real impact though. A little shift here and there might not seem like much, but even fractions of a penny lost on their stock value is millions. Gubet shrugs, pursing her lips. I could see us change the flow of ki in that building, but I still have no idea how to make it work for me. If you need a real specialist for that, like a Taoist priest or something. Based on what I could see, though, I think Wu Xing's fortunes will wane at least for the time being. They'll fix what we broke eventually, but until then, there may be a rush of stubbed toes. So, what else did you want to chat about? I'm ready for my next lesson. Right, good. This one is about people like Auntie Cheng and why we need them. There won't be a question and answer session after this story, but I want to listen up. It's important. I'm all ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go on to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. If you can find your own work, why ever bother with a fixer? You're giving someone a cut of your profits for no reason. She shakes her head. No, Mamu. No, for no reason. Auntie Cheng and people like her serve a purpose. You get job from her, and you can trust that she's vetted the client. That's important. It protects the whole team. She takes in a breath and lets it out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Tsui and the shiny object? How could I forget? Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Tsui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep the thing safe until handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We'd killed an evil wizard and stolen a priceless artifact. A good night's work by anyone's standards. Oh no, and a great good and drunk in record time. So he went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it for a while or something. I returned to my cabin and crashed out. It would have been a long night. I remember waking up to sounds. Yelling maybe? I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. The clock said 4:30 AM. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. But loud noises nearly in the morning weren't unusual. But something felt off somehow. That would be your subconscious trying to warn you or something. She nods. Yeah, it's a lot like a panic attack, really. That full-body certainty that something is wrong. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know. And if it wasn't, I figured that I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. That's not good. She shakes her head, grimacing. No, it was pretty bad. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was that the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something. After what I saw it to do in that warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I should that off pretty quick, though. I knew what this was. Oakland was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the job, he'd sent another team to take it away. Given what happened at the warehouse, I'd have assumed that the shiny object was to blame. Sure, I get it. I did some scary shit back in the warehouse, but it would also been sitting dormant for a long time before Tsui, and I stole it. Anyway, I got up and brushed myself off, and then I beelined for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had to a leader, and the strongest Ratchaman on the raft. Why go to her? Why not head straight to the cabin? She stares at you blankly. Because I'm not an idiot. Sorry, that wasn't aimed at you, but think about it for a second. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object, and they were strong enough to handle Tsui while he was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one whom I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Shuyan's vault all over again. The torn-up bodies, the bloody streaked floors. I saw people who'd been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing at the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the thrumming vibration of the shiny object, that heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse. It was back, and stronger than ever. Whatever the drug was, it was awake. Did you make it to Malvina's cabin? Yes. I burst through the door, all ready to spread the news, and someone smashed the gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my cheek so hard it hurt, then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder, I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Note to self, if Heoi ever comes under attack, don't start knocking down my friend's doors. Yeah, that's a good note. Wished I'd had you there at the time to keep me from doing it. She smiles weakly. Adrenaline and abject terror can make a girl do some stupid things. I'll tell you what. The smile on her face dies. She looks away. Anyway, it wasn't an attack. There were no hostile invaders on the sinking ship, and our clan had nothing to do with what was going on. Turns out there was no client, so it had lied twice to me, because he wanted the shiny object for himself. What he wanted to do was take the sinking ship away from Malvina, and so he used to steal him something that he could use to torment and so he used us to steal him something that he could use to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands and lifts them to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts, Memo. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Heoi had been a friend. I just risked my life to save his, like 4 hours ago, and he tricked me into helping him something unthinkable. Why do you think he did it? Why all of this over a heap of junk floating in a bay? I don't know. Maybe he'd gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hell. He didn't discuss it with me first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten into him long before we ever met. He was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe it happened recently. He could have been possessed. She holds up a hand. I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only thing that's important here is that he did it. So, what did you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, lying red-faced and screaming. So I opened my mouth and I fast-talked my way out of it. I started off by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship, swearing my undying friendship. You know the drill. I did a good job of it, but they still looked a little iffy. Iffy with Warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Heoi. That follows, I guess. I mean, he only had it because of you, right? That was the idea, yeah. I mean, I didn't have a choice. It inadvertently helped to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into too many of the gory details. Friends died, hell, friends killed each other, and was brother against brother, all that jazz. And choice and discriminate the use of the shiny object let a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. Did you get a good view of them this time? Yeah, I wish that I hadn't, but I did. I don't really know how to describe the things. They were like animals, but wrong. Too many tails, bones in the wrong places, huge open sores, that kind of thing. They were spirits manifested in physical form, I think. Most of them took the form of rats, swarms of insects, rotting things. All of the old pestilence tropes. Sometimes there were colonies of things, all tangled together and moving as one. Not the sort of thing that I want to see again, ever. So, anyway, long story short, I got the shiny object back from Heoi. It wasn't easy, but I got it. You wanna elaborate on that? Not really. I used lies and misdirection, trickery. That helped. She pauses for a moment, frowning. Some of the things that Heoi let loose actually come in handy. Funny enough, it summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I was able to steer some of Heoi's followers into a peck of the damn thing. It worked. Wasn't pretty though. I managed to trick my way past Heoi's supporters, and the astral menagerie that he'd summoned wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right with the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things that I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing, and I got it back to Malvina. What happened then? Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Heoi ever did. She took to the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Suicide lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everyone that there would be new rules for life on the raft. Anyone who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea, and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned to the surviving mutineers. Honu was one of them. He'd been in on Heoi's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from the sinking ship. And for people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the World City. I'd be willing to bet that they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why did you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I'd loved anymore, and as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good, but set terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years, not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back in. She pauses, turns to you. That's the story. It's finished, but I wanna circle back on the lesson that I gave you up front, because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work, that's obvious, but we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we, the team, are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputations ride on the legitimacy of the job that she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng, or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship. It could happen again in Heoi. So, anyway, that's the lesson. If you got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Sui had let loose, then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or other, held under lock and key. At least she's keeping it safe. She shrugs. I have preferred it if she ditched it, the thing. But in the end, that wasn't my choice to make. From what I've heard, she is still in power over there, so I guess that it worked out okay. And Tsui? What happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Her voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Thanks, Gobet. Sure, Memu. Thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think that they help me too. And it's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. No problem, Gobet. I look forward to the next one. Her face lights up. Yeah, me too. Now, gotta move on. I've got Gobet things to do. Okay, that was everything from her, and the last one on the ship is Isabel. Isabel's avatar flickers onto the screen. So did you accept my offer? That was the right choice, you'll see. I'm ready to make our run on Decon whenever you are. Any thoughts about that last run? She shakes her head. Nope, sorry. Jacking into the octopus is how I relax after a long day of work. Some people go to sports bar or strip clubs. I do this as a rule. I don't spoil my leisure time with shop talk. Hey, if that's the way you feel... It is, so if you wouldn't mind changing the subject, she lets the sentence hang. I gotta go, Isabel. Sure, drop by anytime. Okay, nothing new from her. All the options we already taken in previous days. So let's go around the Heoi and talk with the people here. Crafty show. Nothing new to report, Momo. You're welcome to take a look around if you're here for supplies. I was just browsing. Thanks, Crafty. See you around. Okay, nothing new from her. Let's talk to our Go players. Jean frowns. Look who's back. Why don't you go egg a car or something and leave us alone? I, for one, enjoy Mamu's visits. A hint of a smile touches Lau's lips as Jean grumbles to himself. How can we help you? Sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering if you're all still having the dreams. This again? Don't you have anything better to do? Yes, we're all still having the dreams. Lau's voice is calm but troubled. However, they've gotten a hell lot of worse. Jean shifts uncomfortably. Look, let's not get into the details. But this information could help others. If I tell you, will you go away? Sure. He nods approvingly, then glances at Lau and Shu before continuing. Our dreams have become, unpleasant, so to say, darker, violent. He runs his hand along his tightly cropped beard. Not all that healthy, if you ask me, especially for men of our age. We come out of them in a daze, sometimes feels like we've been punched in the senses and the imagery. You can see him shiver as he thinks about it. Well, I said no details, so no details. That about sum it up, Shu, Master Low. I have nothing more to add, Shu. Shu, eyes burst into you. No, nothing. What, do I have something on my face? Shu continues to stare at you, his face pale. He opens his mouth, closes it. He seems to be struggling to find words. What's going with you, Shu? You'd better not be having a stroke. We're in the middle of a game. If Shu heard Jin, he doesn't show it. He looks at you, and his eyes widen. You need to go faster. His voice is urgent, pleading. The shadows that follow you are getting closer. Excuses, Mamu. Our friend is tired. Lau clasps a hand on Shu's shoulder, who doesn't seem to notice. The dreams have taken a toll on all of us. Please, come back some other time. Understood. Take care. Okay, I think we already did have that conversation during our last visit. But let's go to the drone cellar. Realb Matthew stands quietly in his drone lot, arms hanging limply at his sides. He stares silently at the ground. This isn't the soft-spoken style of many Hong Kongers. He looks sad. He looks up briefly as you approach, but quickly looks back at the ground. Hey, Memo. He mumbles his words softly. What's going on? You don't see me yourself? Matthew mumbles something under his breath. After a moment, he looks up suddenly. Can you do me a favor, Memo? I can't leave the lot right now. What's the favor? I was supposed to pick up my medicine this morning, but I overslept. Can you get it from Ambrose for me? 10-armed Ambrose? Sure. Thanks. Okay, so let's go there. Leaning against the weapons table, Shen rests one hand atop a glass-covered case. Inside the case is a thin Chinese sword, a Jian, with an ornate grip and blade etchings. A small label on the side of the case reads, "For White Ming." How there, Memo? Come to find a blade, or maybe some ginseng and peony root? How did you know my name? I never told you. You think all I do is sit on this boat and wait for you to show up? Come on, you're kindly Cheng's pet, Shadowrunner. Your name's all over Heoi. Shen grins, gesturing at you. You stand out, man. That's a good thing. It means you're becoming somebody, not staying one of the forgettables. Shen stands, twisting left and right to a chorus of cracking vertebrae. So, what do you need today? What's with the sword? This little thing? Shadowrun runs one hand over the glass top of the case, smiling fondly. This is a masterpiece, crafted by my own hands, as a gift for White Mink. He is being elevated to a red pole. 120 centimeters in length, 3.5 centimeters width at the base, tapering to 2.75 before the tip. Half a centimeter in thickness, with twining dragon motif along the fuller, and it lights on fire when the appointed owner holds it. That sounds impressive. It's more than impressive, it's a damned masterpiece, is what it is. Shen's annoyance is a jagged edge across the statement. You think it's easy to make a sword like this? Hell no, took me 4 damn months. Few red pills in any trade can claim a weapon as fine as this, and none of them are masters of wooden sword like White Mink. His skills with the giant are peerless in Hong Kong, and anyone who faces him in combat will know when he draws his sword that they have no chance against him. Nice indeed. Ha! What goes into making a sword like this? Time, patience, good steel stock to be certain, a fair amount of alchemical materials like orichalcum, crystals, etc. The real key is human bone. The old Chinese masters would throw in human bones when folding the steel. The phosphorus does something or other to the carbon and iron, and I can't just really explain it because I'm not a metallurgist. I just do what I learned on the mountain. But it works, believe me. It gives the blade a soul. It's not so much the edge that cuts, but the soul. It's why weapon foci go through spirits like a knife through butter. Talk to you later. Let's go to the tech guy. Mr. Maximum Law. Do we have anything new for him? Law is speaking into the air as you approach. His bulky goggles flash with an unusually diverse array of conditions lights. Yo, T0, I gotta go, man. This is the kit I was telling you about. The goggles servos whine softly as a set of lenses focus on you. Memo, what's going on? What have you been up to? Wait, were you just telling someone about me? Don't worry, T0 is a 1-1. He's so cool, he's like a refrigerant. So, what can I hook you up with today? I got some metadata for you. Yo, tell me what you've got. The network runs on the information. We wrecked the Feng Shui at the Wuxing Sky Tower. Subtly, but effectively. What? Law waves his finger around his ear, as if to signal, are you crazy? All that geomancy, Feng Shui, ancient sorcerer stuff, it's a bunch of drill, it's all. His voice rises in mockery. Oh, we proactively boosted our quarterly outcomes by mindful on lining our beige cushions into a little circle and mooning each other. Spare me, yo? Hey, Feng Shui is an ancient and subtle art. Oh, hey, he holds up his palm forcefully. I don't want to hear it. I'm done talking about this. Done. Game over. Maximum loss inside your letter comments is closed for the day. He folds his arms sullenly. Let's talk about something else. Okay, I got some metadata for you. Yo, tell me what you've got. The network runs on information. Never mind, let's talk about something else. I'm here for tech. Show me what you've got. Okay, we have almost 5,000. This is only 2 ESPs. Which one? This one is for more AP, IP and less AP. We got low money, so let's go for this. Let's go with the shield. And the sniffer. That should be enough for now. It's a lot of money. No? Oh, requires spirit summoning, so only. So that's not for me. Boo-hoo. I didn't notice that. Okay. Boom! Another problem solved by Law's Technology Palace. See you later, Law. You gotta go? Okay, watch your back and shoot straight and all. Law grins at you and dexterously flashes a hand sign. Let Shadowrunners give each other an hollow it shows. I got things to do too. Okay, let's visit the dock and pick up the thing which we are going for. Ambrose is staring at flat panel monitor on the wall. A local news channel is zoomed in on an ultra-modern aircraft carrier moored in Victoria Harbour. You following the IGN story? A Kansai fighter wing from the Masamune did an honorary flyby of the Executive Council meeting today. They're rattling the saber hard. Everybody's being courteous as hell, but nobody's blinking. The IGN, the Masamune, what are you talking about? The Imperial Japanese Navy. They've parked the carrier Masamune's battle group in Hong Kong for a visit. They're trying to intimidate the city. Nobody's having it, not even the Japan Corps. It looks like it's been driven by some sort of weird internal Japanese pissing match. The Imperial militaries want to cow Hong Kong and bring it under the umbrella. However, almost every megacorp, including all the Japan Corps, want Hong Kong to remain independent. Tensions are high. Do I have anything to worry about? Yeah, Don't go into a bar full of drunk Japanese sailors with a free San Francisco t-shirt on. Ambrose snickers. This Vault IJN drama is gonna go on like it always does. The Japanese Navy will eventually realize no one is even paying attention. Then they're gonna steam off in a huff and maybe blow a few smugglers out of the water. Happens all the time. Is there any chance that the Japanese will take over the Hong Kong Free Enterprise Zone? No way, not in a million years. This kind of rooster show goes down all the time. Worst that will happen is a bunch more posturing, like the IJN has an accidental fire incident with a coastal boat. Somebody test fires an anti-ship missile. The port authority finds the Masamu's paperwork lacking and charges them exorbitant harbor fees. Nice, like that. They're a bunch of square-haired idiots with muscle cars revving at each other. Just stay out of smuggler hulls. The IJN likes to go on sprees of blowing it up to show how well protected Heoi HQ would be under the yoke. Ambrose notes in amusement. Those honorary flyover fighters had to leave ordnance loaded. Ridiculous. Say what you will though, that Kensai multi-roller fighter has a sweet bird. Ambrose ogles a close-up of one of the shark-like jets on the wall screen. Twin Mitsubishi double-aught Delta turbofan engines, ramjet thrust vectoring generation for fight-by-wire. Hi, Georges. Hey, gorgeous. Bah, politics. I can only talk about them so much. Let's move on. I'm here to pick up a reliable Matthew's medicine. Ambrose's brows rise in a surprise for a moment. Really? Well, okay. Waldo arm opens on a cabinet and crackles through packaging in a moment. It swings over to you, holding a plastic cylinder about the size of a roll of bread mince. Mission evident chip cylinder. Here you go. The arm gently sets the cylinder in your hand. What are these? Sorry, Mamu, I can't discuss a patient's treatment without permission, confidentiality and Hippocratic oath and all that stuff. Academic, that's not what the Hippocratic oath is about. Yeah, whatever, it's a crock of shit anyway, right? Point is, I can't talk about the patient's treatment. Inspect the cylinder. The cylinder is lettered with holographic Hanzi. Cool blue jazz, non-smoker version. It has a stylized illustration of laid-back lounge lizard of a man wearing a zoot suit and smoking a cigarillo. Through the semi-transparent plastic, you can see a stack of what look like tiny pills or chips. Return your attention to Ambrose. Pocket the cylinder. Thanks, Memo. He'll be happy to get those. You came here as a runner, and now you're a busted-up doc. What happened? Hey, I'm not busted up, you insensitive jerk. I'm economy size. Ambrose erupts into laughter, slapping the side of his wheelchair. He quickly devolves into shameless giggling. He stops giggling and cocks a sober eye at you. Seriously though, that's some heavy shit, and will take a while to tell. Do you really want to know? Yes, I do. He appraises you eagerly. Well, he appraises you quietly. Well, you're good. You're doing good, Memo. I feel okay about telling you this. A run went bad. Ambrose spits on the floor, emphatically, in clear defiance of his own promises. Sanitary space, no spitting sign. Real bad. They used to call me Ripshot. I was on a 10-man crew. We were led by this ex-army troll named Icebreaker, former combat engineer, brutal guy. We did Shadowrunning, armed robbery, office invasion, underwater hits, anti-branding, just about anything as long as we could make money and hire out wrecks. 10 people. That's huge. It was. We were Icebreaker's own little army. A lot of our work was high profile, real violent. We dumped a lot of bodies into the harbor. Then we had this one job. Ambrose pauses. He takes a deep breath. Hey, I can sum it up real quick, otherwise I tend to get long-winded. What do you want? Give me the full story. We were breaking into a R&D facility and it was one hell job. Cheap Rent-A-Cop's flawed security system, no problem. It was going like a clockwork. I was out and the command went on Overwatch. Bam! Something hit the one like a fried terrain. Ambrose grits his teeth, his body visible tenses at the memory. The walls crashed in on me. There was a flash of light, the darkness stabbing everywhere. Pressure like a mountain falling on me, feeling crushed to pulp. Then I blacked out. Ambrose falls silent. He seems to be somewhere far away in his mind. The seconds tick by. Wait for Ambrose to continue. Then I woke up again. I was in pitch darkness. I could hardly breathe. I was being burned by hot metal. The pain was indescribable. There was a shrieking, like the metal was screaming around me, and sparks. Someone was cutting through the wreck. A huge pressure lifted off me. There was a blinding light. Ambrose gives a tense sigh. He's trembling. It was our glove woman, Karen. She pulled me out of the wreck, wrenched four tourniquets on me, shot me up with drugs, stuffed me in a security car, she'd shot up. Karen jacked me in. I couldn't even hold my head up. I thought my spine was shattered. Once I was rigged in, though the pain and my meat didn't matter. I drove us out of there. I stayed conscious just long enough to get us to a friendly clinic. By the time I got us there, Karen was going down with brain swelling. Ambrose's eye seems to clear as if he's returning from far away. We got barn-stomped right proper, slaughters. They crushed the command van with the front end loader and left me for dead. Everybody but me and Karen got wiped out. Who ambushed you? I still don't know. Best I can figure out, there was some sort of counter-intrusion team. Maybe the whole run was a setup. How did Karen escape? Karen was carrying the first hull out when the assault team hit us. She jumped into a koi pond and lay on the bottom for about 5 minutes, doing her woo-woo key centering thing. They dropped a flashbang grenade into the pond to clear it. That messed her up good. Burst her eardrums, gave her a concussion, ruptured the blood vessels in her eyes, nose, mouth, knocked the air out of her lungs. She stayed on the bottom for another couple minutes. I once asked her what was that like. She just said, painful. That was Karen, stuck like a concrete block. You wrecked, Ambrose. How did you survive so much trauma? Ambrose taps the side of his head. Cowardice and job security. I was always real scared of getting hurt. I'd clutched up my technical computer with some hardware and my hardware radio. As soon as my vitals went screwy, my trauma protocols kicked in and my radio started broadcasting my heartbeat. Karen couldn't drive. She homed in on my beacon and cut me out of the wreck with our demo saw. Then she shot me up with enough adrenaline, PMO4 and morphine to reanimate the corpse. Ambrose shivers a little at the memory, and she put 3 trauma patches on me in a row. It shredded my renal system. He taps his chair. That's why this little hot rod has an artificial liver and dialysis machine in it. They hit you with a construction vehicle? Yeah, it showed the one right into the plascrete wall. A nearby robot arm equipped for heavy mechanical work emphatically snaps it like a nearby robot arm equipped for heavy mechanical work emphatically snapped its vise-like claw, crushed it like a beer can. I learned something from that. Tell you what, how to seriously slut someone's day. Ambro gestures with his chin towards the clinic's false ceiling. I've got an articulated backhoe boom up there with a demolition claw. Hell, with guns anyone ever fucks with Chrome LA, they'll learn what high-powered hydraulics really means. Anyway, that's how it all went down. Afterwards, things were real hard for a while. Ambrose seems to take a stock on himself. He breathes heavily, tension drains from his body, and he slowly relaxes. Here I am though. Ripshot no more. By the way, Ripshot is dead. Let's keep it that way. Please don't say that name to anyone, okay? Karen was an artist at faking death, and she made sure we both vanished. Ambrose shakes himself and rubs his eye anxiously. Listen, Mamo, this is a stressful subject for me. We can talk more about the past another day. For now, I'm spent. You mentioned Essence. Tell me about it. Sure, what do you want to know? Ambrose taps his wheelchair with his 3 fingers eagerly. It's fascinating stuff. What exactly is Essence? Ambrose gives an exaggerated shrug, piercing his lips. Well, I'm not sure. It's life force, sort of. Essence is like the ability of the spirit to recognize and stay connected to the body. Augmenting the body reduces our essence. When our essence is exhausted, the spirit quits the body, and we die. There's this popular idea that essence is disrupted when we attach non-human things to our nervous system, but that's only kinda true. If you install a data jack or a bionic arm, that's definitely a lot of neural interface. However, if you get bone lacing or dermal armor, those don't have much neural interface, right? But they're still murder on your essence. The body still recognizes them as alien and invasive, so there's something more to essence than just a neural interface. There are all sorts of weird theories about essence as being spiritual energy, integrity and stuff. I tried to read some of the medical papers, but it was like trying to drive a go-kart through a blackberry thicket. Well, if I know what it really is. Is there any way to restore lost essence? Nope, but there's a ton of research going into it, like hundreds of millions of new in a year. The person who figures out how to restore essence is going to change the world. Think about it, we might be able to achieve full biological regeneration or even resurrection of the dead. I wouldn't need replacement parts, I might just be able to grow my own body back. That would be something else. Can I install cyberware below 0 essence? No. You drop below 0 essence, you die. Ambrose shakes his head empathically, face grim. Every hardcore street soldier asks that. Trust me, there's no way to do it. However, it seems like people can cultivate the ability to carry a little more cyberware. Terrorists think it's really just making the essence you've got go further. Ambrose taps his 3 fingers on his punch thoughtfully. As long as we're bullshitting though. There are a lot of rumors about cyber zombies, corporate experiments in deep augmentation, going into negative essence. Hell, there's even some convincing evidence posted by runners by that these experiments exist, but no credible medical entity has ever recognized proof. If that tech is out there, it's light years beyond anything you'll find on the streets. Do I think the corps are doing the research? Of course, why not? But does it work? I got no idea. Why don't you get some cloned limbs? Those don't take essence. I got the aches. ACHIS, acquired cybergenetic hyperimmunity syndrome. My body rejects all sorts of mods and biotech. My body now thinks the chrome is legitimate and everything else is an intruder. I've got a list of over 70 things I'm now allergic to, including bioimplants, so no cloned limbs for me, kind of a bummer. No horseradish either, no carrots, no barbiturates. Man, I used to love horseradish. How is essence measured? Oh, there are a zillion different systems for measuring essence, but everyone on the street just uses the rule of 6. The rule says the body has an index of 6 essence and all augmentation can be loosely scored on how much they reduce the number. It was originally the Medvedev-Dirac bioholism index after 2 early researchers. They figured that the body has 6 parts, and they observed that replacing a limb with an early cyber prosthetic took around 1/6 of a person's capacity. They developed a theory that cyber capacity was based on body regions. Each region could have up to 100% cyber, and the whole body added up to 600%, which written as 6. Turns out the whole theory was flawed, and body region doesn't matter much for essence cost, but the rule of 6 was easy and intuitive. It stuck, so we still use it. Ambrose gives you a crooked smile, eyes glittering. Essence is cool stuff. Cool stuff. At the end of the day, I don't know what it is. I just know I'm almost out of it. Show me your services. Sure thing, tune-up or spare parts, cyberware. I'll be using this. It's really interesting. Goodbye, Ambrose. Time for me to go. Come back to the garage soon. Cheers, Memo. Talk to you later. Okay, so we have now a completely new hand. Okay, before going to Club 88, let's talk to Maximum Law. Not Law. Or our drone guy. Reliable Matthew. Matthew is still looking at the ground. He glances up briefly as you approach. Oh, hi, Mamu. Did you get my medicine? Yes, I did. Really? That's great. Give it to me. What is this stuff? It's my medicine. It makes me feel better. He waves weakly at the drone lot. It makes all things okay. Here, give it to me. Here you go. Matthew hastily takes the cylinder from you. His hands shake as he dispenses a single chip from it. He pulls back his hair and slots the chip into a hidden data jack. He stands stock still, eyes closed. His eyelids flutter, a ripple moves through his body, his eyes snap open. He flashes you a vacant grin. Hey, beautiful. Boy, I'm glad to be back. The day was a little dreary there for a while, but now I'm back, and I'm in fighting shape. He pulls a fresh cigarillo from his pocket and twists off the audio lighter tip with gusto. It ignites with a faint crackle. Time to push some tin. You just slotted a synthetic personality. No, siree, beautiful. This puppy's authentic. Genuine and authentic. Authentically awesome. Wee wow, smell that fresh air? Feel that victory? He cracks his knuckles loudly. Some lucky soul is gonna get a great deal on a drone today, Memo. All thanks to you. Let's talk about your authentically awesome BTL personality. Matthew shuffles uncomfortably. Can't talk now, beautiful. Gonna make sales. I feel too good to slow down. Catch me later, why don't you? Okay. Reliable Matthews flashes a winning smile as you approach. Well, that was close one, Mo. Thanks you, we're back in business. And just for you, I've got a red hot deal on solar chargers, just in time for the sun. He stares blissfully at the cloudy grey sky. Let's look at the drones. Okay. Like the old song says, a drone a day is a happy day. Goodbye, Matthew. Let's check into the parlor one more time. Dr. Shenyang. What area slow? I got nothing else for you until you get the dirt on Ma. Dr. Shenyang makes a shooing gesture with his hands. You got a job, now go do it. No time for runners now, I have other business to attend to. Okay, so let's finish with the last place where we still need to do some chatting. And it's the Club 88. Frederick Cafe. The younger of the Cafe sons mans his post at the club's front door. He is showing off his hulking arms to a couple of one-looking girls from the docks, and they clearly self-interested phoning get them inside with no cover charge. I know what you're thinking, some perks, right? Distractions, and distractions can be dangerous. I couldn't agree more. Hey, all this stuff around here, it's all just fluff, anyway. You know that, I know you know that, you've got the eyes doing what you do. You know what's what and what ain't. We're the same, you and me. People in here may look the part, but it's different with us. We're legit. We've got that edge. Everyone else is just a poser. Have you done anything other than bouncing? It's not about what I've done, it's about what I can do. I got potential, I just need to prove it and show my bud that I can do what he used to do. This cushy life, it's not for me. I'm capable of so much more. Ma won't ever see it, but I know my ba will understand. He's not meant for this kind of life either. You know it. You talk with him, right? You see it in him. Once a badass pirate, always a badass pirate. Gotta be the same with you, right? Can't ever see yourself going back to a normal life. Shadowrunning is where's it at? You fancy yourself a Shadowrunner? I want to be something. Shadowrunner. Sure, I see you and your types roll up. Hard-edged like you are, I can see myself doing that. But there's also the triads. Lots of guys get their start that way, work their way up. Some of them starting out as original gangers and be looking to jump a few ranks right off the bat, of course, considering who I am and who my ba is. But I think my ba would be most proud if I followed in his footsteps. Join up with the pirate crew, be a scourge of the open sea. I know, it's in my blood. I just need to let it out. I'll leave you be. Okay, let's get inside. And see if there is anything new interesting happening here. You catch Henry Cafe, lost in his reverie, staring at the wall plastered with photos, and while most are signed celebrity headshots, there are scattered amongst them more personal images from days long past. A lot of faces on this wall, a lot of strangers staring back at me. Not the kind of headshots I'm used to. Henry lets out a deep rumbling chuckle. No, I suppose not. These are what pass for celebrities here in Heoi. We get the occasional Simpson star or athlete surrounded by an entourage of muscle and photographers. It's all for their image, you see. They want a stack of carefully staged photographs that seems like paparazzi shots in a notorious underworld hideout and arms bazaar. Henry smiled sardonically. If we were really all that, the HKPF would have bombed us by now. Club 88 is a neutral zone, and Ermine deals mostly in small arms. We clear the joint, let them stage things however they like, throw a few tattooed-out blue lanterns in the background. In exchange, we get a big stack of neon and a glossy face on the wall to show how popular our club has become. Kindly locks all here down for the visit. Those famed bunnies are safer here than they probably are in their penthouses. It's all my wife's idea, of course. She's got a good head on her shoulders. Colm's lucky he got her brains. I'm afraid Frederick takes after his old man. But wasn't it you who first started running guns through here? Heard about it, did you? Loose lips. But yeah, I took a turn as a small-time smuggler, less excitement than you might think. Never really made all that much extra money doing it either. Had it been riskier, I never would have bothered, but our boat's engineer was a good friend of mine, and he was in on the deal. He could tuck away those crates and engine room where only he knew they existed. I just had to shepherd them on and off the boat. Probably could have negotiated better deals, but I just wanted to be rid of the stuff as fast as I could. Didn't want Wuxing to find out, and I especially didn't want Ermine to find out. But find out she did, though she surprised me with her reaction. No, she would throw a fit, but the only thing she was mad about my profit margin, and so she took over. Tell me about you and Ermine. She and I grew up together here in Heoi. We were childhood sweethearts, but how often do such things last? Then, back in 21, when we were both 18 and unsure of our futures, we both goblinized. The world was turned on its head. People said it was a disease or the result of a biological weapon. There was panic everywhere. But Hermione and saw it differently. We see it as a sign that we were meant to be. It didn't matter if we were lepers, because we were lepers together. I wish I could say she was the first and only love in my life, but there will always be another. I heeded her call for far too long before finally settling down here with Hermione. Even so, that call is always there, tempting me to go back, to be lost forever. Worse ways to go, I suppose. I do my best to resist, try to focus on what Hermione has built here for us. I'll leave you be. Let's talk to Callum. Callum sits with his eyes closed and his head back. One might assume he's asleep or trying to shake a particularly nasty hangover, but when he stirs, his eyes are clear and uncharacteristically focused. Memo, right? What brings you back? It's good to see you sober, Callum. I've cut myself off. Got some serious thinking to do. What's going on? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. Could be a way out of this pit. A way to do something more with my life than sell cheap thrills and cheap pills. Is it really so bad here? You've been here long enough. You should know better by now. Most people figure it out in the first few hours. Here is a way station, halfway between something better and something worse. You stay here, you're just accepting the fact that you'll never amount to anything. You're agreeing that all you care about is keeping your head above water, if 4 good walls and 3 square meals at its best. Some people pass through on their way down, before bottoming out in the walled city, or as a floater in the harbor. Others pass through on their way up, to places like Taikushing or Aberdeen. That's how I intend to go. What's this way out you mentioned? I met a man, or rather, a man sought me out, and went to all the trouble to set up a meet and get into Heoi. That takes guts, for someone corporate. He said he's a recruiter, like a talent scout for one of the big corporations, and they're interested in me. Can you believe that? Even way down here in Heoi, they heard of me. They see potential in me, Callum Kafai. One of the big shots at the Discord wants to be my benefactor. It's amazing, right? Even Nika Shink needed mentors, and he became one of the most successful men in the world. This is my start. This is my break. This recruiter wouldn't tell me the guy's name or the names of the corp. It's all still very preliminary. This was just his first step, you know, but a first step toward walking out of here. Are you still open for business? Because I'm buying. Oh, still the same stuff. Oh. And all that sounds too much promising to be true, so let's see how this will unfold in the next few weeks. Let's talk to Hermine. It feels as though a pall hangs over Club 88. There are fewer patrons on the dance floor and far more hushed conversations than rockers' frivolity. Hermione scans the two-thin crowd as if she could suss out the reason for the change. Something not right at all. You expecting trouble? No, not the kind you mean. It's just a shift in the mood. Usually, when it gets this way, it's for obvious reasons. The death of someone beloved in Heoi, or a terrorist attack hitting too close to home. This time, I do not know. But it doesn't matter. When spirits are down, people drink. When spirits are high, people drink. We make money either way. I just prefer knowing which way the winds are blowing. Comes from being an old sailor's wife. Are things with Callum any better? No, he has become even more distant of late, more secretive. I saw him talking with someone the other day, the kind of person who doesn't belong in Heoi and shouldn't even be here. I don't know who they were or what they wanted, but Callum is clearly trying to hide it from me. I have a bad feeling, the same heavy feeling that hangs over this place. Something is wrong. Something bad is coming for my son, and I don't know if I can stop it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't bother you with my worries. Surely, you have more important business. You said you work in the corporate sector. Oh yes, I was with Baihu for many years, before the boys were born. I started as low as one can get, but I was always good with people, and I understood the politics better than most. Being a troll in the corporate world is very hard. There's a lot of bigotry. However, I turned it to my advantage in every way I could. People underestimated me. I used that in every way I could, and sometimes being able to project raw contained power is very useful. Slowly, I climbed the ladder. Sometimes I wonder what might have been, but if Calm hadn't come along when he did, but there's no changing the past. Can I have a look at what's in stock? Okay, all the stuff which I still can't buy because I can't use it. And well, not for me, even the outfits. Would you care to browse the weapons I have today? Maybe another time. And let's talk to Callum one more time. Was there anything else you needed? I suppose not. Okay, the last guy to talk about is El Duce. This tall, well-built human has been watching you since the moment you entered Club 88. Surreptitiously, of course, glances over his shoulder and the like, but you're certain that he's been watching you. He finally speaks as you draw near. I hear you're the one to talk to about work and the shadows. Maybe, maybe not. What's it to you? He shrugs and folds his arm across his chest. I'm looking for work here in Hong Kong, but I don't have my own team. I ask around who the players are here in Heoi. They said to talk to you. Call me El Duce. I'm a street samurai, good with shotguns, close combat, and I've got a bit of medical know-how on top of that. My rates are reasonable, unless it's a run against Xiaoweis. In that case, it's completely free. Why you run for free against Xiaoweis? Because the sons of bitches killed my wife and stole my son. Duce's voice is hard and flat. Anything to screw them over, I don't need to get paid for. Okay, I can understand being upset about that. Duce not in satisfaction. Good, the bastards were in it for a cheap payday. Just another body to add to their assembly line. You ever heard of Type 0 immune systems? That's a universal donor designation, isn't it? Biotech knowledge. Duce nods. That's right, and it's not just the blood either. If a company wants to produce bioware on the cheap, they use sinless Type 0 bodies and templates to grow the ware in. Human factories, basically. Sick stuff, but it's not like we can complain to anybody. Officially, we don't even exist. Shaking his head, Duce looks away. Let's talk about something else, okay? You live here in Heoi? No. Chunk King Mansions, down the way. near Hong Kong. It's a real hellhole, but nothing like the walled city. Still, I come up here because this is where the work is. A lot of smugglers coming in and out, and a lot of freelancers needed to solve some problems. Gesturing toward the rest of the bar, Duce surveys the dingy interior with an uncritical eye. Places like this exist all over the world. Days where cops won't come in except with riot gear, where people like us gather around and try to figure out how to make our next UN. Find the right one, you can find any kind of work you want. Have you been a Shadowrunner for your whole life? Chuckling, Duce shakes his head. Nope, originally I was in IT, you know, tech support. Oh, that's a hell of a jump of being a Shadowrunner. Yeah, well, having your wife gunned down and your kid stolen tends to focus your attention. Sounds like a bad action sim, doesn't it? Still, that's how it happened. One day, Heoi's getting a reckoning. See you later, Duce. You too. Keep safe, alright? Okay, I think that's it. We have talked to everyone around. So the only way to go now is for the next mission. So let's see what we have to offer. What we have in the offer. Neville Ma for the guy in the Mahjong parlor. One kidnapping, visiting the RS facility, or transit to Kai Tak to board a chartered bus to DECCON. I think I waited enough with this one for Isabel, so let's go get this one. Transit to Kai Tak to board a chartered bus to DECCON. And I will take Isabel. Rector. And that's it. Only 2 people to get. Okay, let's see. Isabel has 2 health staff. And Rigor 1. Should be fine with... Okay, let's take this. Let's take this crew. You are about to travel to Kai Tak. Continue. Confirm. And that was another part of Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition blind playthrough by Old Man Mamu. Much appreciated that you were here with me, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you did, feel free to follow me on Twitch or subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope to see you soon at another episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong Play. For now, enjoy the rest of your day.